The dusty wind howled through the half-broken windows of Cedar Creek Church as the townsfolk gathered inside, whispering and shuffling in their Sunday best. The scent of lilacs tried to mask the stench of fear, but no perfume could cover the stifling tension. Behind the heavy curtain near the altar, a young woman stood trembling. Her name was Clara Mae Dawson. The satin gown she wore wasn't her choice. It was her cage. Her trembling hands clutched the veil that would soon cover her face, binding her to a man she didn't love, a man old enough to be her father. Outside the curtain, the preacher cleared his throat, and the sound of boots scraping wood echoed like the ticking of a clock running out of time. Clara had been raised under her father's harsh rule since her mother died. The drought had stripped the family farm bare, and her father's debts had grown deeper than the dry wells of their land. When he made a deal with Henry Blackstone, the wealthiest rancher in the county, Clara was the price. She begged, she cried, she pleaded, but her father's heart had turned to stone. "A man like Blackstone can give you everything you'll ever need," he said, avoiding her tear-filled eyes. But what she needed was freedom, not fortune. And today that freedom was slipping through her fingers like the dust blowing across the plains. The crowd stirred when the church doors creaked open, and in walked Henry Blackstone himself. His steps were heavy, his eyes sharp, and his grin smug. Dressed in a black suit that matched his soul, he walked down the aisle like he already owned her. The whispers turned to silence. Behind the curtain, Clara pressed her palm to her lips to keep from crying out. But she wasn't alone. A low voice from behind her made her start. "You don't belong to him." She turned sharply, her eyes wide. Standing partly in shadow was a tall cowboy, rough, dusty, and unmistakably defiant. His hat was low over his brow, but she recognized him instantly. Luke Carver, the drifter who had come through town a few weeks earlier, helping her fix the fence when her horse had run loose. He had the kind of smile that could make you forget your troubles and eyes that could see straight through lies. "Luke," she breathed, heart pounding. "What are you doing here?" "Saving you," he whispered. "But you've got to trust me." Clara's knees weakened. "I can't. My father, he'll—" "Your father sold you," Luke cut in softly, stepping closer. "There's nothing left to lose but your chains." His words hit her like thunder in her chest. He glanced toward the altar, then leaned in close enough for her to feel the warmth of his breath. "Run when I say run." Outside the curtain, the preacher called for the bride. The crowd hushed again. Clara's father's voice boomed, "Bring her out!" A rough hand from the other side of the curtain reached to pull her forward. But before they could grab her, Luke's hand closed around hers. "Now," he whispered. The world blurred. Clara lifted her skirts and ran. The curtain tore in two as she burst into the open, gasps rippling through the church like a storm. Luke was right behind her, pushing through the stunned guests. Henry Blackstone shouted, "Stop them!" His hired guns jumped to their feet, but Luke was faster. He kicked over a pew, sending men tumbling. "Go, Clara!" he yelled, and she darted toward the back door, her heart pounding louder than the gunfire that suddenly cracked through the air. Outside, the sunlight was blinding, and the smell of dust and gunpowder filled her lungs. Luke jumped onto a waiting horse, his black stallion, Midnight, and reached his hand down to her. "Come on!" Clara hesitated only a second before gripping his hand, and he swung her up behind him. The horse reared, then bolted down the dirt street, hooves hammering the earth as bullets whizzed past them. "Hold on!" Luke shouted over the chaos. Clara clung to him, the wind tearing through her veil as the town blurred behind them. Her father's voice faded into the distance, drowned by the thunder of hooves and the desperate beat of her own heart. They rode until the sun dipped low, painting the sky with streaks of fire. When they finally slowed by the riverbank beyond the canyon, Clara slid from the saddle, her chest heaving. She looked at Luke, dusty, bruised, and fierce, and for the first time that day she smiled. "Why did you do this?" she asked softly. Luke took off his hat, rubbing the back of his neck. "Because no woman deserves to cry behind a curtain on her wedding day," he said, his voice low and sincere, "and because I couldn't stand by while they took your freedom." Tears shimmered in Clara's eyes, but this time they were tears of relief. "They'll come after us," she whispered. "Then we keep riding," Luke said with a small smile. "As long as you're not afraid." Clara looked out across the endless plains, the sunset burning like promise on the horizon. "I'm done being afraid," she said. Luke nodded, tightening the reins. Good, because from here on out you run only when you choose to. He helped her back onto the horse, and as midnight carried them into the fading light, the sound of freedom echoed in every hoofbeat. Behind them, Cedar Creek faded into the dust, and ahead a new life waited, one not forced, not bought but chosen. The curtain that once hid her tears was gone now, replaced by the open sky, and for the first time in her life, Clara Mae Dawson wasn't running from fear. She was running toward freedom.